Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake
technology
of it. Technology
increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes.
Because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi. I want to thank you for joining us today. We go live every single Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on LinkedIn, and afterwards it'll go out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and you can catch it there. But look, live is where it's at. Bookmark your calendar for every Wednesday, 1 p.m. because you want to join us. You want to engage with our audience. You want to engage with our guests. You can engage with us because this is all about connecting. This is the Master Connector Show. We want you to be connecting with people because that is the key to moving your thing forward, right? You need people. If not to physically help you, you need their brains. You need them to help you fill the gaps in your knowledge so that you can have a better shot at the success you're looking to attain. And look, if you can't make every Wednesday, we hope you can. But if you can't make every Wednesday, go to masterconnector.show and you can see our full roster going out. And look, we keep it updated, but we are booked out into 2026. The website will give you at least the next 6 episodes, and pick the guest that you absolutely cannot miss, because we bring you the best of people who are the cream of the crop in their field. They're bringing their stories, their experiences, their skill sets, and they're going to teach you how to level up, bring your opportunity forward. Masterconnector.show. And you can go there and also find out how to be a guest on the show. We bring accomplished people, authors, TED speakers, CEOs, founders, all kinds of people who have accomplishments, so you can help. So we can help you connect with the best of the best. And so that's Master Connector Show. And if you want to sponsor an episode, you can click that link there in the nav bar on masterconnector.show, and we'd be happy to get your name out there. And so look, Steve and I, we go way back. We are 2 former shy guys, 2 introverts who had to try and master this networking thing, right? We're all connecting with people, but he's the master connector. Let's bring him on, Mr. Steve Spiro.
What's up, Robbie G? How you doing there, sir?
Man, how are you?
Oh, very good. How you doing? You can hear me okay, right?
Oh, we got you.
All right, cool. Awesome. Can you hear me now? Verizon commercial, right? Good stuff. Well, yeah, we go back, and, I remember, both of us, I know you say you were clueless, and I was clueless too. I mean, I definitely did not know how to talk to people. I didn't. I knew how to hit them as a martial artist, but didn't know how to talk to them, but it's been an incredible journry, and everyone can be a master connector. It's not like a special title. So
for sure. Look, you and I, like I said, people don't believe us when we say 2 former shy guys, 2 introverts. Yeah. And I think and hope that we give people hope that you can overcome that garbage and become, a master connector, because we can do it. Anybody can do it.
They sure can. But what's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. Not the one and only, because you can be one too, like we said. But here's a question, right? What does it really mean to live a warm heart life? To me, it starts with, finding your passion, finding what drives you, what your purpose is on this planet. I've learned over time, you can make lots of money. There's lots of things you could do, and you can have accomplishments, and, how many cars and how big your house is. But to me, ultimately, it's how many people are better off because we were here. And to me, a lot of it, the success that I've learned to glean into, and the successful people that I've seen that I admire their life, are the ones that have an impact on people, and they have a warm heart. It's funny because my mentor, who's incredibly successful, he wound up working with a guy, and I was there as well, because we were working together on some collaboration. And this gentleman, who happened to be in real life the second in command Wolf of Wall Street guy, okay, in real life, not the character in the movie, the real guy. And I won't mention his name, but you could probably figure it out. Anyway, he goes to my mentor and he's like, "How do you have such an incredible warm heart?" Like, how could I do it? Like when I'm speaking to people, do I put my hand on my chest? Like, is that how I have a warm heart? And he like laughed, he smiled, he didn't say anything. He's like, but we spoke later, him and I, my mentor and I, he's like, he doesn't really get it. It's really a true heart thing. It's not a technique. It's a heart thing. And it took a long time, right? I had to heal my heart, right? The good book says, do unto others as you have them do to you. And it also says, love others as you would love yourself, right? If you don't love yourself, it's going to be hard to love others. So I had to heal. I had to come up. I had to find peace within myself. And, obviously, like Rob said, being a shy guy, being picked on and bullied and disabled, learning disabled with dyslexia, all those things were strikes against me for that self-love, but eventually found peace in that. And actually found that for me, my secret sauce, the thing that, I didn't have the charisma that I've seen other people have. I didn't have the humor. Rob G, if you get him talking, he could be incredibly funny. I'm a little bit dry. I got it from my dad, dry sense of humor. But what I found is I had sincerity, and I believe that sort of ties with that warm heart life. And just people felt my sincerity. They felt my heart. So I believe anyone could do it. You just got to be comfortable within your own skin. You got to understand that people are important and learn to be others first and be that go-giver. And if you want, go get that book by Bob Berg and John David Mann, The Go-Giver, because being that go-giver is so important. So if you're excited, which you should be, we're going to have an incredible guest on tonight. He has some technical stuff, but we got him on. It's awesome. But if you're ready, let's type in the comments. Let's go. And Robbie G, I'll pass it to you, bud.
All right, let's go. Brandon Gaydorus is a 5-time author and founder of Warm Heart Life, which he founded in 2019. On the day-to-day, he focuses on helping individuals execute on personal, professional, and financial goals. He has been passionate about bringing personal development to his town of Stamford, Connecticut through events like A to B Con, Map Your Way to Financial Freedom, and a combination of both in-person and virtual speaker schools. After being the youngest voted on Golf Digest Top 50 Trainers in America, Brandon decided to shift his focus from fitness to personal development with the intention of growing together with as many people as possible. Through his speaking schools, mentorship programs, comedy shows, and guest speaking engagements, Brandon has completed over 250 speaking gigs. Please welcome to the show, Brandon Gaydorus. What's up, Brandon?
I'm doing incredible. Thanks so much for having me on. It's hearing you talk about mentorship, Steve. It just reminded me of the reason why I got into this whole concept of a warm heart. So I can't wait to get into this conversation with you guys today.
Yeah, we're glad to have you on. And, listen, I love the fact, persistence, right? One of the things that we know about success is just being persistent. And sometimes you got to be persistent to get on the show, right? I know we booked this out like probably months ago. And I know you had some tech stuff going on, but it's great to have you on here. And we're pumped and excited. So here, let's just dive right into it, Brandon. And by the way, sometimes I mess up Brendan. I think it's like this dyslexia thing going on. So it's always Brandon, but I might slip every now and then. So just forgive me in advance, all right? But anyway, one of the things we both have incredible amounts of passion, right? That's for sure. And so I want to talk about passion with you a little bit, Brandon. So community, and by the way, welcome to Michael Zajac. Great having you on here. He says, let's go. Excited to have Michael. I call him MZ. But let's talk about passion, right? So what does it really look like to follow your passion in ways that bring both purpose and peace, if you would?
Yeah, I asked my mentor about that one time because I was really struggling to figure out where to go in life. I asked him about this thing called work-life balance that you hear about all the time.
Right.
Because I was really struggling with that. I was working quite a bit and I just wasn't really sure how to find the right balance in life. He said, Brandon, first think of how you want to live. What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to experience? What do you want your weeks to look like? What do you want your days to look like? And then figure out a way to pay for it. And so he had given this analogy that he designed his work schedule off of an 8-month period. So he would design his seminars, everything, his speaking engagements would be off of an 8-month period. And then for 4 months, he would go out to Colorado, go skiing, teach ski lessons, hang out at the bar, and just live a great winter life. And so that was the first person I really heard who kind of talked about, hey, you can actually do stuff your way. And so in school, it's like, do you want to go into marketing? Do you want to go into history? Do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be in business? I never really heard someone say, hey, how do you want to live? And so just getting asked that question, I started taking a lot of time to think about the things that I was talented in and the things I was passionate about. And so when I think about passion, it's like when you get out of bed in the morning, what lights you up? Warren Buffett talks about how when you get up in the morning, you should be running out of bed. So it was like, I don't know if I want to run out of bed in the morning, but I get pretty fired up to do the things that I do. And I took a lot of time to think about that. And so that's one thing I encourage everyone to think about. But when I thought about that, I was like, you know what? I would be willing to work so hard on Monday and Tuesdays if I had flexibilities towards the end of the week to either teach, to go somewhere I've always wanted to go, or to do whatever the heck I wanted. And so now it's interesting looking back on that about 4 or 5 years later. I'm able to teach workshops around the country. If I want to take a Friday off, I can. If not, there's plenty of stuff to do.
Yeah.
And
so I want to reinforce something there, Brandon, because a lot of people don't think like that or even talk about things like that. Way back when, many years ago, the first person I heard say you can design your life was Tony Robbins. And certainly he wasn't the first person to talk about this kind of thing, but certainly made a big impact in people's lives. And here you are talking about living your life the way you want it. And when I heard him say you should design a life instead of just making a living, I just turned 58. I was 23 when I heard that. And I thought, you can do that? Like, so for our audience members, if you're just eking out a living, man, you're missing out, right? Because the fact is you can design the life. And then once you have that life, in front of you and your vision in your mind, you can work towards it. And like Brandon's saying, you knew a guy who would just take off for 4 months of the year. Nice.
Yeah. I heard it said, great point, Rob and Brandon. I appreciate your perspective on that. And how do you want to live? It's so important. The one thing that I heard somebody say is, hey, listen, where would you like to go? If you were to travel overseas, where would you go? And let's say somebody said Italy. And then he asked, okay, do you like cars? And what's your car? And he's like, a Ferrari. Well, will a Ferrari take you to Italy? And the answer is no, it's not designed to. And so many people start with the what and the how, and they really should start with the why and the who. And, I probably sound like a broken record if you follow my stuff and watch the show, because I've said this a few times, because I think it's so important. I think it's worth repeating, because people, especially the 20-somethings right now, people coming out of college, and maybe it's the parents that are programming or the school system, but the programming on the what. Okay, you want to be a teacher. And meanwhile, they think teacher's great because they have summers off. I have a good friend who's a teacher, and she loves teaching. She hates the administration piece of it, and she makes no money. She thought she could teach and take summers and travel, but she makes so little money she can't travel. She has to tutor during the summer. So it's just, it's crazy. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, but definitely passion, your why, your purpose, so important, Brandon. So very true. But let's keep this rolling. I want to talk about growth, right? To me, a lot of what we're speaking about here comes from growth, and it's also learning from the greats, so community, type in #growth. And Brandon, I know you said something to me about, learning from the greats. So who are some of the greats you've learned from, and how have their lessons shaped your journey towards a warm heart life?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So one of the core values of Warm Heart Life is excel forward. And one of the sub core values in that section is we will strive to be great and learn from the greats.
Love it.
And so that's something that has been instilled with me for many, many years, even before that core value was engraved. And the first guy that I can really attribute to learning about this concept from, and who in my mind I looked at as great, was this guy, Lou Miller. So I was 20 years old, sitting in a mandatory class at night. It was a seminar at night in my college, my junior year. This guy, Lou Miller, comes in. He was probably about 65 years old at the time. And I hated school. Like, it just wasn't me. It was easy, boring, and I didn't feel like it was applicable. So when this guy comes in, all of a sudden my eyebrows raised, my head started looking at him instead of sleeping on my forehead. And he started talking about this concept out how he wanted to be the best in the world at what he did. And so all he did was write down the top 10 people in the world who were the best at what he did. And then he went and learned, observed, shadowed, studied, and met all 10 of those people. And his whole speech was just stories on how he reached out to this person, what that person said, and what he learned from that person. So 3 weeks later, I found myself talking to the number 3 guy on my list. He told me everything I needed to do to be successful. His name was Randy Myers. I was in the golf fitness world when I was younger, and this guy was the number 3 guy on my list. I reached out to him. We ended up hopping on a phone call. He told me everything that I needed to do to be successful in that field. 6 years later, I get voted top 50 in America. I was 26, the youngest person on that list. And the only reason I got there was because I learned from the greats. I looked at the list from 2 years prior, and I had already worked for 3 people who were nominated on that list a couple of years prior. So those were some of the greats early on in my life. And I mean, I could talk for 10 hours sharing stories about the greats, and I'm sure you guys can as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you make incredible points there, and it's not about, Tony and Lou. It's not necessarily about that. It's the fact that you sought after, I guess is probably the best way to put it. People that have been there, done that had accomplished what you wanted. And, I hear people talk about, wisdom is learning from your own experiences. And I've heard it said it's not true. True wisdom, effective wisdom, is learning from the mistakes that others have made, so you don't have to make them yourself, right? And so that's the advantage, one of the many advantages of having a mentor. And I don't know about you, but I'm a visual learner, and so I need to see something, so I need a picture of it in my mind, and just again, that's why I think you and I have it in common, and Rob might be too, but can't remember this, but I didn't like school. I was, disabled, learning disabled, whatever. It was hard. But learning.
Couldn't stand school, by the way. Yeah. I was having this conversation with my kids the other day. Well, my kids were all straight A students. Clearly did not get it from me. I was a C student. My kids didn't believe me. I said, if I got a B, my parents were doing cartwheels and high fives. If I get a B, that was rare. So school was not my thing.
I thought so. I had a feeling. So anyway. Well, hey, I know you touched on a little bit about balance, right? And Brandon, we, a lot of times you hear in success, oh, you got to be balanced. You got to have a balanced life. And listen, I understand to a degree, but when you're in the pursuit of something great, I'm not so sure if you can have balance in that early stages, but I'm curious. That's my perspective. And then ultimately you could settle into some balance. So community, type in hashtag balance. And here's the question. How can someone balance ambition and compassion while still pursuing their big goals, dreams, whatever?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's something I'm forever trying to figure out. What's interesting is, Steve, you just gave $1 billion advice when we were just in the last conversation. I went to see 2 billionaires speak last Tuesday, and one of them, his name's Brad Jacobs. He helped build 5, maybe 6 Fortune 500 companies. He helped build 5 or 6 companies to over $1 billion. And it was interesting him hearing say one of the biggest keys towards building these $1 billion businesses was hiring people who have already made the mistakes. He's like, listen, we do a lot of research on the financials to make sure we find the right businesses to acquire. But then I focus on hiring people who have been through a lot of the mistakes. They've gone through the roadblocks. They've been hit by many left and right hooks, and they already know the mistakes that are going to happen.
Yep.
So they can come in with the right org chart structure. We can be using the right tools that can help us excel forward. We can have leaders instead of people who are just trying to start in leadership. And so I just thought that was very interesting. And this is a guy who's he wrote the book How to Make a Few $1 Billion, and he literally attributed to what you were just saying, where it's like people make mistakes, and if you can learn from the people who make mistakes, you can accelerate the path to get what it is that you want. Now, back to the question, the balance thing, I constantly try and ask people that. With me, I just try and put 5 things on my list every day. It's called the power list. I learned this from this guy, Andy Frisella, and it could be stuff revolved around health, wealth, relationships, faith, happiness, whatever it may be. There should be a diverse set of things on there. And you just do the 5 things that you put on there. And if you do all 5 of those, then you win the day. If you do 4 or less, then you lose the day. And so every day I'm refining the most important things that need to be done. And I've been doing that for over 7.5 years. And I'm probably not the best person to talk about with balance, because I'm so focused on my goals that if something gets a little off, then I know to go to the power list. Like, for example, if I'm not working out the level I need to, I know to go to my power list and put something on there to help switch that. If I'm not practicing Spanish as much as I need to, I know to put that on there to make sure I put some time towards that. If I'm not working on my relationships as much as I need to, I know that I need to make room for that on my power list. But someone like me, I have a big goal with my business, and a lot of my business is related to personal stuff. So it's hard for me to say the right or wrong answer there, but I do listen to a lot of people on what they say the right answer is.
Well, let me ask you this, Brandon, because I think this is where people really get messed up. And so when there's so much coming at us every single day, I love the idea of the power list. I mean, that right there, that bullet point, have a power list. I think everybody should know, but they don't. But then you got all these distractions. Now, let me ask you this, as far as balance. If you have 5 things on your power list and you get them all done by 5 p.m., do you then go do what you want to do? Or what do you do then?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best part about it. And I learned this from a guy he had a $300 million company before the age of 40. And so I think he's got over $1 billion company now. And so that's exactly what he said. He's like, listen, if you get all 5 of the things done, live life. It's okay to look at cars on the internet if that's what you want to do. It's okay to go to a basketball game if that's what you want to do. It's okay to watch a movie. But the thing is, once you implement the power list, your days become so productive. So if I'm being fully transparent with you, during the week, most days from 6:30-ish a.m. to 10 or 11 at night, I'm typically doing stuff, either health related or work related. That's just how it is. But on the weekends, I'm able to free up a lot of time while still be very productive. So sometimes I'll get my power list done by 12 and I do whatever the heck I want. And so if there's a like Thursday where I know I needed to just free up time and do something, then I can plan ahead the night before. Hey, these are the 5 things I need to get done. And maybe they only take a half hour instead of 3 hours. And sometimes the power list can be simpler than you think. If you're trying to develop healthier relationships, you can put one of the 5 things as give a stranger a compliment.
And you're talking my language there with the stranger now. Stranger danger, right? You know, I meet three strangers every day is my goal. But yeah, no, that's great. And but I just want to acknowledge a few people. So Russ Hedge, great having you on the show. Yolanda Chin, the amazing Yolanda Chin, incredible having you with us. Russ, of course, a great friend of the show and a sponsor of our episodes once a month. Appreciate everyone on here. But yeah, so what I like to just say is, number one, I think calendar management is a big part of this in terms of balance, making sure that you have certain time blocking, I think helps a lot. I think, you know, I see a lot of people that are coming up, you know, just out of college and they have a real tough time with time management or calendar management because they don't. And if you could just manage your calendar that way, it'll help a lot. But I also heard this, you know, you got to figure out what those 5 things are. And so, and you got to put them in first, right? You know, the analogy, I'm sure you heard of the rocks, right? You put the big rocks into the jar first, and then put the pebbles, then you put the gravel, then the sand, then the water. And if you change the order of which you put in the things with less priority, you can't fit the big rocks in. So you got to make sure you figure out what those 5 power things are, put them in first, and then everything falls in around them. So that's another piece of it that I just like to throw in. And I want to just comment before you were talking about the I just slipped out of my mind. So let's keep moving here. We're getting to the bottom of the hour, so I'll come back to it then. All right. So one of the things I admire about you, Brandon, is you actually, it seemed you to me, you seem to keep things really simple, right? Just very simple. So community, type in hashtag simple, and you had said 1 + 1 = 2. Now that just seems so basic. Can you expand on that? What does that mean to you, Brandon?
Yeah, and I think that touches great with the theme of today's episode, how to have a warm heart life. It's math. I was good at math in high school and college. It came easy to me, and they're teaching us all these equations that I haven't applied probably 99% of the stuff that we've learned in math in the real life. But the one equation that I apply every day is 1 + 1 = 2. And then the counter to that as well, which is 1 - 1 = 0. And then if you keep expanding on that, 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, 1 - 1 - 1 = -1. So the whole premise of that equation is if we can get around more plus ones, we're probably going to live a healthier life physically and mentally. We're probably going to have better conversations that correlate to business growth instead of talking negatively about bosses or why we're not getting a raise. We're probably going to have a lot better conversations that directly correlate to every aspect of life that we want to get better. And then if we get around minus ones, say you go out to dinner with a friend, they're complaining about their boss the whole time. They're complaining about how they can't lose that 5 pounds. It's hard to be productive when you're constantly complaining. And that's what minus ones do. They are constantly bringing negativity in your life versus the positive, the plus one. They're saying, hey, I've been trying to lose this 5 pounds. Do you have any recommendations on exercises that I should do? Personal trainers I should reach out to? Diets that may be a good fit? They're struggling to get a raise. And so they say, hey, I've been looking to get a raise. I'm trying to figure out how to bring more value to my company. Do you know anyone I could talk to that could maybe help me shape a pitch or a proposal that I can present to my boss? There's such a difference between a plus one and a minus one. And I can't change the world. Rob, Steve, you can't change the world. Anybody listening, you can't change the world. Collectively, if we can be a plus one, we can collectively make positive change together. But we have to be a plus one to be able to gain other plus ones around us. When I was doing my mile run in elementary school, I would race. And my buddy was more athletic than me. We always used to do sports together. But the one thing I could beat him at was running. And one year I was running ahead of him. And he grabs my shirt and he tries to pull me back. And I take my hand and I say, get off of me. And I ran right ahead. I totally forgot about this. He came to my first personal development event that I had in Stamford, Connecticut, and he shared that story with me right before that. And I said, man, I can't believe that has stuck with you for over 20 years. He said, Brandon, you have no idea how much that pushed me to become one of the best baseball players in the town, to play college baseball, and to continue to produce at every job or wherever I'm at. And that's what a plus one does. They don't go backwards. They go forward so they can bring other people forward with them. And what happens is the minus ones, they can't take the positive energy. They can't take the conversations, and you don't have to get them out of your life. They just naturally go out of your life because they can't handle the positivity. They can't handle the growth. They can't handle the conversations. And what do? They just avoid it. And you just get enough plus ones around you where you have the friends that you're looking for and you keep moving forward. And once in a while, you inspire some of those minus ones to reach out to you and say, hey, I just want to let you know what you've been doing has really inspired me. What can I do to get started on the right path?
I love that. That's great. And I think eventually when you find the right person, 1 + 1 = 11. At that, which is where I thought you were going with the 1 + 1, But no, I definitely, because and I've learned this, right? Rob knows that I was a loner guy, so I could care less about people back in the day. But I've learned to really grow and succeed. You need to have, and Rob touched on at the beginning, you need to have people in your life. Well, Brandon, this is great. We could go on for another 3 hours. Appreciate that sharing the virtual stage with you. It's great. Look forward to doing some more of this. But What's the best way for our community to reach you? Because we've got to close this down right now. So, any party thoughts and best way to community to reach you?
My phone number is 607-348-6136. And then pretty much every social media is Brandon Gaydorus. And I just want to thank you and Rob for having me on today. This is an incredible show. Everything that you guys got going on is awesome.
No, we appreciate you big time. And he gave his number. That means use it. So it's good stuff. And fellow Stamford, Connecticut guy, I appreciate you big time. Brandon, great having you on here. We're going to have you in the green room if you want to hang around for a minute or two when we're done. Appreciate you big time, sir. All right. Well, wow. That was great. Listen, if you're excited about what you just experienced, go tune in next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. The Power of Intention, Vision, and Purpose with Jennifer Jail. It's going to be a great show. Don't miss it. If you want to learn more about some of the up and coming shows beyond that, go to masterconnector.show. If you want to learn how to sponsor an episode or be a guest on our show, the list is very distinguished. It takes a lot to get on a show. So we're going to put you through the ringer. You gotta be all that and then some, like people like Brandon. But we'd love to have you on if you're what we're looking for. Anyway, I want to finish up with a quick closing comment. Right, Keanu Reeves, you all know him, right? From The Matrix and a bunch of movies. Despite facing tremendous personal loss, he's known for his humility, generosity, and compassion, often giving away much of his movie earnings to crew members, quietly funding hospitals, and treating everyone with respect. His kindness isn't just for cameras or headlines. It's a way of life that reminds us true success is measured not by fame or fortune, but by how deeply we care for others. Folks, let's continue to care about others, be kind in all things, so we can be a shining example to other people and ultimately be that beacon of light. God bless, and we'll see you next week.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.